Hello, it's Seb making my second Vancouver area video, and let's just jump straight into the first big chunk of library books that I've gotten for myself since I got here. Starting with Keep the Aspidistra Flying by George Orwell. This is a book that I'm slow reading over the course of many years, and I really wanted to finish it up this year, which is what I said to myself last year, but I always kind of get to a point in it where, it's about this poor guy literally poor, in London in the 1930s, I think, and he's kind of like rambling, and he works in a little wandering around London and working in this little bookshop and feeling bitter about being poor, but also kind of anti-capitalist and sort of feeling that it's almost a statement against the system, him being poor, and that I don't know, there's the element of knowing that there's structural forces at work which are keeping him down, which make him bitter, but also the element of, he could actually be trying a little bit harder, but he's out of principle not trying harder, and that's also making his life worse. So in a way, it seems like a world away from the George Orwell that I've read before, the more famous 1984 and Animal Farm, because those are critiquing these big authoritarian, totalitarian systems rather than everyday Western capitalism. But in a way it's kind of similar, because it's also obviously to do with ideology and to do with, I don't know, people being stuck in the system and how do you resist that system, and it's I'm really connecting with this in a way which sometimes makes me have to put it down for a few months. But definitely I like having it in the background, which is why it was the first book, I think, of these. Yeah, it was the first book that I actually ordered when I got here, that I've gotten, so that's arrived, so that's nice. And then we have Territory of Light by Yuko Tsushima. It's a really shiny cover, but nice colors. Hard to read there, I think, probably. I don't think I've actually explained my reading of this book yet in a video, I think, but yeah, I started reading this way back in April, and it's got it was serialized in a magazine, so chapter by chapter, every month a new chapter came out for a whole year from April. And I didn't know it was April at the time, but I picked it up in April and I read one chapter and I loved it. And I decided I want to read it as it was written, as the first readers would have read it, I should say, and kind of read a chapter every month for 1 year, or at least see if I can do that. And I'm doing well so far. It's about a single mother living in Japan in, I guess, the 1970s. That's when it was written. And she is having a pretty hard time of it, but it's also just the difficulty of mundane everyday life, and also going through a divorce or a breakup, more accurately. The storytelling and the writing is just superb, out of this world, amazing. I'm going to talk about it more in other videos, I think, I'm sure. The thing is, because I was moving country, obviously, then I had the problem of I need to get this book almost immediately so that I can read the next monthly installment of it and not fall behind my self-imposed schedule. And so I was kind of a little bit anxious, thinking, okay, I better buy it. I was set on buying it. If I couldn't find it in bookshops when I browsed around after immediately having got here. But then I went into this lovely library called Semiamu Library, and there it was on the shelf, after having not found it in bookshops or not seen it in anywhere else around, physically that I could get my hands on. It was just there on the library shelf, I didn't even need to order it in. So I was delighted. It meant I didn't need to buy it immediately. I will buy it, I'm pretty sure, because I love it so far, and I it's just, I won't have to rely on library so much. But this one, already I read the chapter, it was great, and then I have to return it now. It's actually overdue, so I know no sooner has Seb arrived in a country than he's already breaking the rules. But it snuck up on me. It's overdue instantly. Somebody wanted it straight away, so I'm gonna bring it back today after I've made this video. But yeah, this was my first great library experience here, my first eureka, I don't know, my hallelujah moment when I saw it there on the shelf. And also I'd never seen that cover before, and it's gorgeous and nicer than the other cover I've seen in North America. This I saw in the same library, just also on the shelf, Psyche and Eros. It's a Greek myth retelling about a Greek myth that I don't really know at all. I remember, I think, reading it as a kid or hearing it as a kid, and I don't know why. I just I thought, oh, a Greek myth retelling that I haven't even heard of. It's kind of recent, and I think I read the first. Yeah, I read the first. I did the first sentence test, and I think I read the first page or the little prologue. It's just 2 pages or 1 page even, 1 page and a bit, and it was good. I thought that's good. I want a Greek myth retelling on my shelf, so that's there for me. I picked up 50 Sounds by Barton, subtitled A Memoir of Language, Learning and Longing. As far as I understand, it's about somebody, a translator, I guess, who goes to Japan. Maybe she becomes a translator because she goes to Japan or something, but it's about her getting to know Japan and Japanese culture and Japanese language. And this was originally kindly passed on to me, and I never got around to it, but I want to get around to it. And since I saw it on the shelf, I was like, that's one of the books that I really wanted to bring to Canada, but I didn't because I only had limited space. But I want to read it now, especially because I found out a few months before I left Ireland that Polly Barton, is the translator for the new Mieko Kanai book, which has come out very recently, which I'm also kind of really excited to get my hands on. But yeah, like one of my all-time super favorite writers translated by this person for the first time. So I thought, oh, that's another impetus to read this book. To try and, I guess, get to know who the translator is and see how she writes and how she thinks. Just like kind of scanning through, it seems that instead of chapters, or kind of the chapters are onomatopoeic words. And I don't know, the way that she does, she gives like a kind of a word and then a definition. Like this one is giri, the sound of just about getting by or being weighed on a moment by moment basis. Just about getting by, that kind of works for it. I don't know about the weighed on a moment by moment basis one. But yeah, like I showed some of these to my partner as well, who's Japanese, and we both agreed that some of them sound quite like, I don't know, like this sort of Western extravagant exoticization version of Japanese words, which is basically, you know, traditional and been going on for hundreds of years. But it's also something that I'm really fascinated in. I love reading about Orientalist stuff. I love reading Orientalist stuff and being, you know, like that's interesting that they did that way. We have pota pota, the sound of red dripping onto asphalt, and chira chira, the sound of the mighty loner and the caress of 10,000 ownerless looks. It sounds lovely, and I will have to check up on those last two to see if they check out. But maybe Polly Barton was deliberately, you know, going for this sort of poeticized thing, and she talks about it at the beginning. Who knows? I haven't given this book a chance yet, but I'm looking forward to doing so for sure. And also, it's kind of interesting for me because she's a Japanese language learner, and I think that's kind of, you know, one of the main things in this book is like coming to Japanese as an English speaker. I presume English is her native language, and learning Japanese and kind of getting into the language, and that's something that I do. So that's, you know, maybe I'll relate on some levels, and it'll be fascinating to hear somebody else's experience. This is James Joyce, Ulysses. I wanted this also, like keep the Aspidistra and most of these. I just wanted it there on the shelf, so I can dip into it when I want and need to. I really want to finish this year. This is a Wordsworth edition, which means that the font is tiny, and that there's no notes or anything like that to help you. And this is a book that really needs notes, I think. But maybe on the other hand, because it's so much like every sentence is impregnated with all these like references to other things that I probably need to like research or check out, it's actually a book which is better to just go through and like get what you get, you know, like kind of let it wash over you. And if I pick it up and understand something like, oh, that's an allusion to, you know, what was going on in Ireland at this time and whatever, then cool. And if I don't, then it's still like kind of just lovely language so far anyways. This is one that I'm determined to get through for sure, so I want it just around, you know. So Ulysses. This was also just on the shelf and caught my eye. Breaking into Japanese Literature, 7 Modern Classics in Parallel Text. And I thought maybe it would have Akutagawa in it, because Akutagawa is like got these classical stories, and the language I think is sort of, it's difficult, but the stories are quite simple. They're like kind of fairy tale-ish. And lo and behold, there's only 2 writers in this. Natsume Soseki, who I really want to read and haven't read anything by him. But he's like, if you're in Japan and you read Japanese classical literature, he's the person that people presume you've read. right? He's like kind of, for a Japanese person, they're like, if you're into Japanese literature, oh, you've read this guy, right? And I haven't read him. So that's not the only reason I want to read him. Apparently he's also quite good. But that's probably the main reason. Just, Japanese lit cred. And it's also got Akutaga Ryunosuke in it, who is, like Miyako Kanai, one of my all-time, well, he and Miyako Kanai are my two Japanese writers who I revere and like admire the most, and just will read anything by them. So yeah, now I can try and read some of his short stories with the Japanese alongside, and maybe learn to read them in Japanese. Hopefully, it's got like little like notes there at the bottom and stuff like that, and it's on one page Japanese, one page English. I tried actually reading in Japanese, like a Japanese novel, not novel, kind of a mix of short stories and novels, the word book by Miyako Kanai, in Ireland, and it was really difficult, and so I kind of stopped. I was like kind of like really working just to get through a paragraph, and then it just kind of felt it wasn't worth it, so I didn't even finish that first story in it. But this looks a lot more manageable and a better way in, probably a lot more sensible as well. Then this book, And the Weak Suffer What They Must. This was also, I put this on my reserve lists for the library when I got here, because it's also an ongoing project really for me to read this book, this economics book by Yanis Varoufakis. Here I notice it's subtitled Europe's Crisis and America's Economic Future. It didn't have that subtitle in the European edition, not surprisingly. This cover is also awful. Like, it's just got Yanis Varoufakis looking like a vampire on it. Like, I'm not sure why they picked such a sinister picture of him. Maybe it's meant to look kind of like professional and cool. Oh, here, look, he's smiling and nice on the flap. But yeah, the cover, I don't know, I probably showed you at some point the cover for the European edition is much nicer. It's a really lovely cover. I'm not into economics really. I want to understand them, but I'm really bad at it. He's explaining, the European, the crash, the 2008 crash, and everything that kind of led up to it. So he's giving a lot of helpful like economic history from 1970s, I think around that time, even earlier probably, but at the beginning anyway. I never got past the beginning. Well, I've got, I don't know, maybe a third into it. But it's a slow burn one that I need to read and then kind of reread and then take notes and try and understand how money works. And I'm enjoying it, but it is work for me. I didn't even tell the interesting story. I ordered it from the library, and then a few days later I came into the Semiamu library and I saw it there on this like free book thing that they did. Like, they were just giving away books, and they don't normally do that. So it was just like this one-off thing. Where they were giving away a few free books, and it was all like these kind of like textbooks and like some old comics and things that like most people I guess wouldn't be that interested in, and this was there. So I don't know if that's a good sign for the book's popularity, but for me it was amazing. So I could cancel my order and get that book for free. So I actually own this one, so I should put it on this side of the things I brought, I suppose, but for now this is that's like my Ireland pile, I guess, and so this is just still my recently acquired pile really, rather than just library books. And then the really weird part about the story is that 2 days later I went back and they had the same like free book thing. They were giving them away, and some new books, almost the same books, but some new books, including the Global Minotaur. It's a bit crossed out there you go, the Global Minotaur, also by Yanis Varoufakis, and I think it's the one that he wrote before And the Weak Suffer What They Must. So it's kind of like a prequel in a way. I think this led to this one. At least he said something at the beginning of this, which was like the ideas in the Global Minotaur kind of led to this book. And so, I thought, why not? Like 2 for the price of 1, which is nothing, get another free book. So I now have a Yanis Varoufakis collection of economics books. I say economics books, they're obviously aimed at general readers. So it's not like a textbook. It's not like you need to specialize in it. It's explaining economics in a way which I find accessible. It's just that my brain doesn't want to go there. But the stories are great, and he is a great storyteller. I love Yanis Varoufakis, I should have mentioned. I don't know if he's popular in America that much. I mean, presumably not. That's why they need that subtitle. But he's often on TV and stuff like that. And I think his beliefs about Europe, his values about Europe, I should say, are pretty much the same as my own, and that's really nice to hear it on like kind of when he's on TV and stuff like that, because usually they're not so represented by the kind of journalists and stuff that get on mainstream television. But anyway, that's a story for another time. And then Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is one that I kind of regret because I'm sure I'm gonna have to return it pretty soon, probably before I get to it, because I'm reading a few things at the moment. But yeah, this is just another one that I wanted to... Oh, I got a bookmark from this one. Oh no, maybe I just put that in there. I got a free bookmark and put it in there. But yeah, I ordered this and it came pretty quick. So I guess I'm not going to get to read it before I send it back, because it's still a popular fantasy book about this dark academia stuff going on in Oxford, where they study languages and use the languages to make magic like silver. And another like slow burn, long-term reading project, which we'll see how, maybe I'll get to it before I have to bring it back. Unlikely though. There's also one more book which I got recently, which wasn't here, but I just went and picked it up now. A Woman Running in the Mountains by Yuko Tsushima. So my partner saw how much I was into Territory of Light, and presumably how I wouldn't shut up about it, and so got me this other book by Tsushima, which we both saw in a bookshop here when I was looking for Territory of Light. This was the only Tsushima they had. I was surprised they had it, because they didn't have... It was sort of one of those really commercially bookshops, you know what I mean? Like, not the kind of one that would have lots of translated literature from the 70s. But they had this one, which I don't think is their most famous one. And like, I noticed instantly when I had a quick scan and saw that at the back of the book, the print is all messed up, but still legible. But like, I kind of joked about it, and my partner got it, and like, it's kind of like, oh, that would always be something that connects the book to the place and the time of arriving here. And I thought that was really thoughtful and sweet. And also, I'm super excited. I have no idea what this is about, except that it's written by a writer who I'm currently really into. So in a way, it's going to be like a bit of a test, you know, when then there's a book that you love by a writer, and then there's another book. It's like, is the writer amazing, or was just this book amazing? I suspect the writer is amazing, and I'm gonna really love this book as well. I can't tell you anything about the actual story, and I don't want to know anything about the actual story until I'm reading it. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. So yeah, I'll put that there. It's not a library book or anything, but like, yeah, these ones also became books that I owned now. So this is kind of a wishy-washy library haul in a way. But thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of these books. And I was very happy to notice in the comments of the last video that at least 2 people who watch these videos live nearby. So hello neighbors. And if you have any recommendations for the Vancouver area, then do let me know down in the comments as well. But that's all for now, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.